Hey guys, and welcome to season 4 of the Us People podcast. I'm your host Savia Rocks, and in this season, we get to remember and reminisce back in time with some of our guests like...
Hey, we are Entity,
and you're listening to
the Us People podcast
with Savia Rocks.
Peace, my name is Oni. I'm a producer-engineer from Queens, New York.
Hi, my name is James Green. I'm a TV presenter, sports reporter and journalist.
Hi, this is Joy Langley and I'm the author of Navigating Stress.
Hey, this is Travis Glossop. I am a creative radio producer for Kiss FM and you're listening to the Us People podcast with Savia Rocks.
We highlight the strengths of our cultures, talking about diversity and inclusion, and speaking out loud and proud about who we are.
I was never that good. I was determined. I had a love for the sport, and that always fueled me.
At 49, I was seven years post-divorce after 22 years and 3 kids of a marriage. And so I knew that I needed to figure out what was happening for me and why was this such a severe sort of crack in my identity and how I showed up in the world.
It's great. I'm glad, because I'll be honest, I didn't really work that hard at uni, so it was good to leave uni and really get on it, really because I also, as a person, I think I value productivity. A lot of people live to work. I think I am one of the work to live guys, but because my work is amazing, that's all right with me. So as a person, I go to bed happy when I've had a productive day.
We've also saved the best till last by honouring another artist and showcasing their talent as our new theme song, with none other than your host, Savia Rocks, featuring in their song. So guys, enjoy, stay creative, and as always, please continue to be kind to one another. Let's go.
Hello, I'm Sam Smith, not the real Sam Smith, the fake one who goes by Sam Fever. I'm a music producer, music engineer, and artist under the name Khaki Fever. This is the Us People podcast with Savia Rocks. Woo!
Peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Us People podcast. I'm your host Savia Rocks, and today I'm humbled to have Sam Smith here with me. Sam is a music engineer, a music composer, music producer, and artist. That's talent right there, Sam. Thank you so much for coming on the Us People podcast. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me on.
No, you are absolutely more than welcome. Thank you so much for coming on the show. So, Sam, my first question, which I love asking all my guests that come on the show because I feel it's important to know about who you are as a person, is, could you tell me about your life, where you grew up, and how that influenced you to be the person who you are today?
Yeah, I grew up in a small town in Norfolk called Wyndham, which is funny when I say to people here because no one has any idea where that is. And less people can spell it, so it's great. Yeah, very small town, rural area, everyone knows everyone kind of thing. Started doing music when I was probably 13-ish, 14. Started learning to sing first. And then I kind of started the engineering stuff that early on as well, when I was just kind of bought a really old computer, really old music software, and just started doing it in my room. So I guess that's where it started. And then, kind of got maybe 2 or 3 years of kind of practicing music and bits, and then started writing songs. And that's kind of where the passion took off from there. And then went to uni to not study music. I did economics at uni, which was not as fun as music, I promise you that. The silence speaks 1,000 words, yeah.
I like the way you laugh to yourself and you just went,
Yeah, I know. That was a joke, wasn't it? Jesus, fuck hell.
Oh, man.
It was good. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed uni. I just didn't enjoy my degree. Uni was fantastic. But
man.
Not economics.
I think so many people do that. I think a lot of people turn around and study something that they don't necessarily ever use in university.
Yeah, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because you're only, 18 when you decide what you're going to study is quite young to be making those sorts of decisions. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think you have to go down the route. And I don't think people coming out of uni having done a degree that they necessarily didn't enjoy should feel like they should go into it. I think they should be released from that prison that they were in if that's how they felt.
That's true. I like the way you said that. It is true.
But yeah, anyway, so I did that. Although I did economics at uni, but I spent most of my days just doing music. I was in a band then. I started joining bands and playing when I was probably 15, 16. Different bands throughout the years, but I was always part of something. And then I was doing that mostly throughout uni. That's kind of my first experience in a recording studio as well as an artist. So went to a recording studio for the first time, probably in my second year of uni. Nothing to do with uni or anything like that. Just with my band, started making some records and stuff. Thought it was cool. Then I got to sort of third year of uni and thought, yeah, this economic stuff is a bit shit, isn't it? And my mates that were on my course had all gone to like London. I went to Reading Uni, so it was not far from London, and they'd all gone to London for these like big investment banking interviews and stuff, and they came back and they were raving about it, and I was just thinking like, I'm really happy you're happy, man, but that sounds really shit.
It's so destroying after a while, but hey, each to their own.
I mean, hats off to everyone that does it, and if that's what floats your boat, then great, but it wasn't for me. So I thought, what do I love? I love music. Let's give that a crack, and here we are a few years later.
I like it. I definitely like it. So, Sam, let's talk about who you are a little bit more. Let's dig a little bit deeper into who you are. So, can you define yourself as a person and who you see when you look in the mirror? But on the flip side of that question, has there ever been a time when you have looked in the mirror and not recognized the person staring back at you? How did you manage to turn that around and be the person that you want to be?
I don't think I'm that person yet. I don't
that.
think I'm that person yet at all. I don't think, and I think if you are that person, then have you stopped growing? Maybe you got some more growing to do. I think that people are a journey to a destination that hasn't been discovered yet, and I think with every bad experience you have and with every good experience you have, it takes you down a path that doesn't exist yet. And as you get older, as everyone gets older, they become more unique. And I'm only 26, so I've got a long way to go. I hope. This isn't the end.
It's not the end.
But yeah, no, I think I don't know. When I look in the mirror, I like to think I'm a confident and happy man. And I think that in itself is a self-fulfilling prophecy. I think if you believe that, then it will happen. And I think that's true with everyone. But of course, there are days where you don't feel like that.
That's true.
There's definitely days where you look in the mirror and you're like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Some days more than others. When I left uni and started going into music, I wasn't paid. It was an unpaid internship, and that's how I got into the engineering side of things. So I had to do a lot of other jobs on the side. I was doing like 6 days weeks, 12 hours. It was hard at the start. It was really hard at the start. And there were a few times in that period where I thought, is this really what I want to do? Like, this is hard, like really hard, like way harder than anything else I'd done. It's really tough. It's really tough. But you just keep cracking away at it, and eventually someone says, yeah, I think I could pay you. Yeah, sweet.
Oh, man, right. The way you said that, it was really hard.
Yeah, honestly.
You'll make people think, shit, should I actually do this?
Yeah, nah, do it, because you'll be, 100% do it, because the alternative is way worse. The alternative is doing a job that you will not like.
True.
And that's you for the rest of your life.
That is true.
Brilliant, you've completed it. You've completed being unhappy. Like, congratulations.
You completed being unhappy.
So absolutely just do what you want to do, regardless of how hard it is. But it's the difficulty that makes it worth it.
Yeah.
If it was easy, everyone would do music. Everyone wants to be a musician. Everyone wants to jump in the industry. The amount of people I speak to that I meet them for the first time and I tell them what I do, and they're like, that's so cool. I'm like, yeah, it is cool. It's also really hard, but it's really cool. Like, I love the job. I love the job. I love the people I get to work with. It's fantastic. But yes, it's not easy, and the beginning is the hardest bit.
That is true.
It's definitely the hardest bit.
The reason why I agree with you, Sam, is because I was a sound engineer for about. I think I wanted to learn sound engineering to understand the background of music. There's always two types of people. I always say there's the listeners and then there's the creators of the music, and
Absolutely.
there are so many different departments in music.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
It's
It
not
is
just what
crazy.
you think you see.
No, 100%.
And they make it look so glamorous.
100%. People make it look easy, don't they?
Yeah, they
And
make
they
it
hear
look.
a 3-minute song and they think, "Oh, can I?" You know.
They don't know the blood, sweat, and tears of
boy,
how
those
long
tears taste sweet.
it
at the
takes
end of
to master and mix and learn the software, whether it's Logic or Pro Tools or Fruit Loops or Cubase or whatever you're using. They don't realize the hard work you put into it, and then you have to, like you say, work those 10 to 12 hours.
Yeah, that's the game. But it's great. It's great. I'm glad because I'll be honest, I didn't really work that hard at uni, so it was good to leave uni and really like get on it. Really like, because I also, as a person, I think I value productivity. A lot of people live to work. I think I am one of the work to live guys, but because my work is amazing, that's all right with me. But so as a person, I go to bed happy when I've had a productive day, and which is great. So yeah, no. Anyway, back to the original question. Yeah, there's definitely days where I don't feel like that.
I think we all do. And I think those are the days that challenge us to become better.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. COVID in particular was really tough. I had just started a freelance business doing engineering for the first time. First time? Yeah, first time. And I was maybe 3 or 4 months in when COVID hit and the lockdown started. So everything fell apart within a day, and I was kind of back to square one, pretty much unemployed. I got a few bits of like post-production work in where I didn't have to have people in the studio, so it was all fine with like COVID regulations and stuff, but that didn't last long. It all dried up pretty quickly because there just wasn't enough music to go around. There wasn't anything being recorded. So that only lasted for a while, and then that was a tough time. That was a tough time, and music was the answer to that as well, from the artist's perspective as opposed to from the engineering perspective. That's when I started my band Khaki Fever. That's when I met my bandmates. Khaki Fever's 2 of us. It's me and one other guy. And we met because we wanted to just write some music together. Like nothing really. We didn't plan this whole thing. We just wanted to play some music because we were both feeling crap during lockdown. And then we thought, this is actually pretty cool. We like each other, so let's just crack on. And then we got the band today. So that's how that started off. But, that's what got me through the lockdown, to be honest, is just, working on that every day, which was great to have the time to be able to do that. But, if it wasn't for that, I don't know what would have happened, but it wouldn't be good.
Oh, I think music helps heal so many people in so many different ways. I think music is most probably one of the best healing solutions to have in your life.
I think you're right.
Rather
100%.
than medication.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a fan of medication. If it gets you out of the spot, it gets you out of the spot, then great. But it's not a long-term solution. It's a short-term solution for sure. You need to work on yourself. And people, everyone's got a different opinion on depression and mental health. A lot of people think it's an incurable disease. I don't think that's true. I think everyone just has a threshold.
I agree with you. I don't think it's true. I think sometimes it's about having the right people in your life.
I agree.
Sometimes it's also about letting go of the wrong people in your life.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think the answer is, found within a lot of the time as well.
Yeah. True.
I think a lot of people look out to find the escape of it, but actually you just need to better yourself, which is harder said than done because it's actually quite hard to critique what's wrong,
That is true.
it's quite hard to see that a lot of the time. But yeah, but we're good now.
I like the way you said that. I like the way you switched that around.
Yeah, keep it positive.
Oh, I like that. No, that's cool. What is a day like in Sam Smith's life? So from when you wake up in the morning, Sam, to when you decide to get creative, when a job comes in, maybe when you and your bandmate decide to start writing or get creative, to the evening time, because I know creativity, some people's creativity starts in the morning, some in the afternoon, and most definitely, like myself, in the evening. So
yeah,
what's it like for you?
You know what, it varies, and actually it's weird to say, but I work in the creative industry, but not everything I do is that creative. I still do a lot of non-creative tasks that it's probably actually 70% non-creative tasks to 30% creative tasks.
I believe that
it's
one,
just
yeah.
the nature of the job, you know. And a lot of engineering isn't that creative in itself. It's a lot of editing, you know. It's a lot of like pitch correction and stuff, which has some subjectivity to it, but a lot of it is just, is it the right note? Is it the wrong note? Are the drums in time? Are the drums out of time? Things like that, you know. So yeah, no, there's a lot of non-creative stuff going on, but I like to get up in the morning and just get myself prepped, because I think being creative, well, I got two kind of things on it really. There's me being creative as an artist, and there's me being creative as a composer who has to write to briefs.
Yes.
And has to do work for people, and those are two different approaches. As an artist, I'll just write a song, and sometimes it'll come out in a day, and sometimes it'll come out in a month, and sometimes I'll take it to my bandmate Gio, and he'll be like, "This is shit, but I like the hook." So then it'll take a year. So it really ranges. It really ranges. Whereas if I'm writing for a brief, you've got a deadline. Like you've got to sort it out. Like if it is shit and your juices aren't flowing, you need to find a way to get those juices flowing. You know, so it's a lot less relaxed. So my approach is different. And I think the answer for that, for anyone who wants to be a composer, is prepare. You know, make everything as easy as you can, regardless of like what you play. If it's keyboard, if it's drums, if it's you know, guitar, bass, whatever. Make sure everything's like there to go, because when you have an idea, you do not want to be plugging that guitar in while you've got an idea, because then
true.
There's another idea that's following it and you've forgotten the first one. Like you've got to be able to just get things down quickly. So what I do when I first wake up is get the boring tasks out of the way, the things that will take me, you know, check my emails, you know, get rid of all that stuff, make sure that my studio is set up and ready to go so that I can just get going. Then I'll have breakfast. Then I'll do the creative stuff I have to do that day. If I have to do it. Some days I don't have to do it. Some days I do. Some days I want to, because I just feel like writing a song, or I've got some ideas of a song I had last night and I need to get them down, or something like that. And then I'll eat lunch, and then I'll either carry on doing that or something else. You know, it depends. And also the days vary depending on where I am in the process of whatever I'm working on. So in the artist in the band stuff, at the moment, we have a gig coming next month, at the end of the month. So a lot of the stuff related to that is just rehearsing songs I've already done. So it's not particularly creative in a songwriting sense, but it is quite creative in a performance sense. So I'm, you know, up early, getting vocal warm-ups done, so that I can start singing all day. Or I'm, you know, tuning my guitar and making sure that it's ready to go and things like that. You know, and if it's composition side of things, there's a lot of preparation that I do before I actually sit down and start writing a piece of music. Things like finding reference tracks from clients, things like you know, presenting clients with documents that go alongside the music that I've written, and telling them why I think that this is a good piece of music that I've written for them, things like that. So it's, you know, the days can change quite a lot, is the long answer to your question.
No, I like it. I like it when it's a long answer, because it goes into more detail, more depth, and so people can understand exactly what you do, because there are people out there who want to be especially a music producer. You know, there are people, and it's understanding the term, because people think that a sound engineer, some people actually do think this, some people think a sound engineer is very similar to being a music producer. And it's being able to identify the two.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could you break that down for me if you could?
Yeah. Well, I actually think music engineer, sound engineer is easier to define.
Yeah.
Music producer is harder to define because it kind of depends on what part of the music business you're working in. Sound engineer, music engineer, your job is more technical. So your job is to decide what microphones to use and what processes to use to achieve the sound that the artist and producer wants, really. You're in control. In a recording session, for your recording engineer, you're in control of the session. You run the studio, you run the desk. That's your world. Now, actually, in practice, a lot of artists that I've worked with don't have their own producer. So sometimes as the music engineer, you end up also being the producer. Now, not as heavily, usually. So that's normally just a case of tweaking performance. So you're singing out a tune here, mate, just tweak that a little bit, or maybe we can try it like this, or maybe you can use this guitar, maybe you can rewrite these lyrics, or things like that. Now, the music producer's job in the artist world is, well, and even this depends on what kind of artist you have. If it's rock or pop, it's usually, or less so pop actually, but rock, it's usually the artist will write the music and kind of pretty much have it 90% of the way there, and then the producer will give it that 10%. So help commercialize it a little bit. All the things I just mentioned, so tweaking their performance slightly. Maybe bringing in guys that can do something else that someone's doing but better. So a lot of drummers will try and do percussion, but they're not percussionists, but they're the best that the band has because they don't have a percussionist. So the producer will go, I like what you're doing, the idea's there, but you're not actually nailing it. Let's get this geezer in who knows how to play percussion properly, and then he'll sort it. Or if he knows how to do it, he'll do it himself. Or, you know, things like that. That's the kind of stuff that a producer would do on a rock artist. But the term can be used differently for a rapper. Like a producer in the rap world is often like the guy who makes the beats and things like that. Because the rapper doesn't do that normally. Not all the time, but normally they don't do that. So it ranges. And I used to work as a music producer for a music agency. So we would make music for adverts and for sonic branding and things like that. And that role was not studio-based at all. That role was curating playlists for companies. It was briefing composers on what we needed the tracks to sound like. It was critiquing work that was sent in by composers and tweaking them and things like that. It was also just file prep, a lot of it. You know, there's a lot of files that go into making a song. You know, you think about for every pop lead vocal you hear, I mean, some artists do that 1,000 times, 100 times, you know. There's a lot of files to manage, and you've got to do that for your bass, then you've got to do that for your drums, then you've got to do that for this, then you've got to do that for that, and it's a lot of stuff. So the producer, not even just music producer, but a producer in general kind of manages projects, and they see the creative movement through. So that's how I would kind of define the two differently.
I like the way you brought that down.
But it varies, you know, it varies. And it varies on the role and what kind of thing you're working.
I like the way you broke that down because it gives people more of an insight on what it actually is now and whether or not they actually want to do it as well.
For sure, yeah. I would say if you're more technically minded, go for engineering. And if you're more people minded, I'd go for production in general. But see what the task
I think
is.
one thing I've learned about production is you have to have a lot of patience.
Yeah, you do. With yourself as well.
You have to have a lot of patience.
Yeah, seriously. Like, yeah. Because as a composer and producer, you will make some shit. You will make some absolute trash. You know, for every 10 songs that are crap, one's good. You know, that's just the way it is. That's just the way the brain works, you know. And I think that's the same. I don't want to speak for them, but I'm sure that's the same for artists, as in painting artists and guys like that.
Yeah, that's true. Even songwriting, same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially songwriting. Definitely songwriting. The amount of crap songs I've written, like so many. It's just the game. That's the game.
Oh man, oh man, Sam, I would love to ask you, what is the one thing that you have battled with in your life that nobody really knows that you would like to share to help empower other people?
I would say, yeah, the depression and stuff we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
definitely large one. And it was largely COVID. Like that was a lot of it was COVID. Because I'm a big extrovert. So it just meant I couldn't see people, and that was shit. But on the back of the kind of career side of things, my freelance business has fallen apart. There wasn't enough, and I was still early days when it was running just before COVID hit.
Yeah.
So I wasn't confident enough that it was gonna come back when COVID had all ended. And as we all know, that there wasn't really an end in sight when it was kicking off.
That's true.
So there was a lot of confidence issues, which kind of fueled the depression. And I think another common thing with people that do what we do is imposter syndrome.
Yes, that's a big one.
I can't do this. They've asked me to do this. I don't know how to do it. And just do it, It doesn't matter how good or bad it is. Just do it. And if it's not good enough, someone will tell you, or you'll tell yourself, and you'll make it better. But you can't just sit around and not do it. You just got to crack on. You just got to crack on. But I would say to people, my advice would be, be confident with yourself before you're honest with yourself.
That's good.
I think that's how you push yourself to being better. Because confidence is what pushes your boundaries. That's what that's what tells you to use a different synth that you've been using for the last 10 tracks. I'm going to try a new sound here because I think it will work. You actually have no idea how it works, but you give it a go, and now you got a new synth you can use because you learn how to use it.
That's
it
true.
can be something as simple as that. On the flip side, definitely got to be honest with yourself. If you've been, and with other people as well, I would say that the music business is more about people than it is about music.
That's true.
Music engineering, music producing, music composing, you will never do it. Being an artist, you will never do it all on your own. You're always working with someone else. And you've got to be honest with other people about your ability. Now push that a little bit, 100%, because that's, 90% of the time, the only way you're going to move forward. Push it a little bit. But, you still got to be cautious about how much you're pushing that boundary. And be honest. Just, if a piece of work gets offered to you that you can't do in the time frame that they're giving it to you, just be like, look, I can't do that. Either because I don't know how or because you haven't given me enough time, but that's not possible. And that's fine. They're not going to... I don't know what you're worried about, but they're not going to kill you.
I think even so
right.
they'll respect you more for being honest.
Exactly, 100% they'll respect you more, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that, and building up relationships with clients is everything, really. That's how you get returning work. Freelancing in itself, regardless of what the practice is difficult. It's uncertain, it's unsecure. But if you can you don't need loads of clients. You need a few clients that keep coming back to you. That's how you make it work. So you've got to build those relationships with those people. And by doing so, you've got a lot of work coming in, work that you didn't even expect would come in. There's been months where I've been like inundated with work because and it's not from many people. It's from like 5 or 6 clients. Like, oh, can you do this as well? Can you do this as well? I was like, yeah, stick it on the bill, man. Stick it on the bill. Absolutely, I can do that.
I like that. Stick it on the bill. Here's one for you, Sam. How is music a reflection of who you are as a person, and how does your soul connect to the feeling of music and express it in a way that people can connect and know who you are as a person?
Yeah, I like this question. I think people use the phrase, it was put on this earth to do, when it's about art or music. And I like it, but it does imply that I had no choice in it. I don't think that's true at all. Everything I do now is because of me. It's not because God put me here and did it, It's because I decided to do it and I got off my own back and did it. So, and I think that is certainly a reflection of me as a person as well. If I want something, I'm just going to do it. And the barriers that stop me from getting there are rarely faze me. They just exist, and I see them, and I push for them. I push against them. But yeah. I'm not a fan of that phrase. It's what I was put on earth to do. I think, I chose to do this. And yeah, we've talked about this a lot. Me and my bandmate, we have this conversation all the time. It's almost like the philosophy of music. There's been times where we've both struggled. He also works in the music business as well as doing the band stuff with me. Yeah. He's an engineer as well. And we've both struggled over COVID and even post-COVID, getting jobs, getting work in and things like that. But the conversation always ends the same way. It's like, well, what else are we going to do? Like, we don't know anything else is thing one. And that's probably the honest answer. But the nicer answer is we've dedicated our lives to this. This is it's almost a religion to us, I wake up and think about it. I go to sleep and think about it. In the day, I'm thinking about it. There is no other option for us. And that makes it beautiful, I think. That makes it great. I think there's loads of people love music. Of course they do. And I think being passionate about music and it being a hobby is one thing. And if and when you're a listener and you decide to make it your career and your life's work, that is something else. And something people I think some people struggle to understand what that is. Yeah. My parents included, I think. My dad's an accountant, or was an accountant, he just retired. But I don't think, I love my dad and he supports me all the way, but I don't think he gets it. You know what I mean? I don't think how would he? He's not in the world, but there's something about working in music and probably arts in general that is just, it's quite hard to explain. But I say to people sometimes, working in the music industry is harder than being a doctor. And it's funny because it turns so many heads and it sounds super artsy and it's a super pretentious thing to say, but which is kind of why I say it, because I like the reaction. But the point is, at least when you're learning to become a doctor, you know what part of the ladder you're on. You know that you've got to go to uni for 7, 8, 9 years, however long it is, depending on what doctor you are. And you know if you're failing, you know if you're doing well, and you know how much more work you have to do until you are qualified. And yeah, maybe you get employed afterwards, maybe not, but chances are if you're a qualified doctor, sorry to all the doctors who are unemployed right now, but you're more likely to get employed. You're on that journey. Whereas the music business doesn't have that in most places.
That's true.
I've had interns work for me in the past that have had master's degrees in music, and but they've never worked with a client before. And I think there's a load of reasons for that. I think that it's quite hard to prove that you're a good doctor without having a piece of paper and a degree that says you're a good doctor. There's a lot of risk trying to prove that if you're not. Whereas in music, I'm a very good drummer. Oh, really? Well, there's a drum kit over there. Why don't you just go play it? But I have this piece of paper that says I'm really good at drumming. I don't care, mate. Just go and play the drums. It's it's a lot easier to prove in person that you can do it. That's why portfolios exist. As an engineer, that's why, if you're an engineer looking to hire someone, they want to hear your work. No studio is going to employ you if they haven't heard your work for an engineering position. Same with a production position. Same with being an artist. They just want to hear what you can do. So I think that's part of it. I think that let me just get my bearings here. Yeah, the confidence, being a doctor, the confidence you have can be derived from how well you're doing and that knowledge that you're doing all right.
Yeah.
But because the music business doesn't have that, your confidence has to come from yourself. It can't come from anywhere else. So that means that your faith in yourself and being self-critical about the work you're doing and that you're working hard enough to achieve your goal, that's the hard bit. And that's why I compared it to a religion earlier, because it's about faith. It's about faith in yourself and faith in your own confidence that really drives you to doing well in that. And having there are ladders in the music industry, but there's a lot of gaps between them, and it's a lot of, they are not nice ladders, and it's very hard to climb them. So, and there's no one way either. There's, as everyone knows, there's a lot of nepotism in the music business, for better or for worse. It exists. It's part of what we have to deal with as we go into the business. But regardless of whether you know people or don't, you can know people. And being an artist, a lot of people say it, they use the phrase, you get lucky, or you get your lucky break and things like that. Maybe that's true, but you make your own luck. If the reason you're not being successful as an artist is because you haven't got the right connections, go and make those fucking connections, mate. Just go make the connections. No one's stopping you. We're social media's in the world. You'll be all right. Don't get me wrong. There's many ways to do it. You got to find your niche. Being an artist isn't just about making good music. There's 1,000 things that go into being a good artist.
True.
And one of them is networking and just being a good guy or being a likable person.
Yeah.
And that's, that's what I had. A lot of guys that came through the studio when I was engineering and producing in studio work didn't get that. And it's not, to be fair, it's not my job to tell them that, but you could tell when you're talking to them that they didn't understand that. You've got to have a USP. What's your selling point?
Yeah. You've got to have a presence too that nobody else can feel or see.
Exactly. Yeah, perfect description of it. You can be the best singer in the world. You've got nothing about yourself on stage. No one cares. I always say, what do I always say? The phrase is, you're only a musician until you get on stage, and then you're an entertainer. So music's just a tool when you're on stage to make people have a good time. If you're a drummer and no one's dancing, I don't care how many fills you put in, make people dance, man.
That's what they say about songwriters as well. You're only as good as your last song. That's what they say.
Absolutely. And it's brutal, but it's true. Yeah. It's true. People care about what they're hearing right here, right now. That's what audience members care about when they see a live band. 90% of them, 99% of them was like, how does this make me feel now? So if you can't deliver that now as you're performing, then you've failed your gig, essentially. And that could be anything. Maybe you want to feel happy and dance. Maybe you want to feel sad, depending on what song it is. But you gotta make them just feel something. That's the goal. That's the goal when you're on stage. Songwriting, slightly different thing. Making records, but I think that's the goal when you're on stage for sure. Going back to the question, in terms of my work as an artist, my music certainly developed over the bands I've been in. There's been quite a variety. I used to be a lot of indie stuff. And a lot of rock, like blues rock stuff in the earlier days. And then there was a lot of singer-songwriter acoustic stuff. And now it's a lot of funk and pop and things like that. So naturally with the genre changes, the moods of the songs change and the topics of the songs change as well. But it used to be a lot about, I used to write a lot of music. In fact, my early days of songwriting was a lot of writing songs about my experiences and negative feelings that I had as a kid or young person. And it was a good way of dealing with it. It really was. Great way of dealing with it. Glad I played them live. Glad I wrote songs like that. And now I am still quite good at writing songs like that because I did that early on. Yeah. Today, though, that's not what Khaki Fever is really about. It's definitely something we will explore later on. But Khaki Fever is it started as during lockdown as a way to kind of create happiness and get people to forget about the shit that was going on during the pandemic. Yeah. And today that's kind of just translated to making people forget about the stresses of life. And don't get me wrong, we've got 3 tracks out at the moment, EP in the works coming out late 2023. And all of the tracks on there are pretty uplifting, pretty upbeat. But after that, there will be some tracks knocking about that are a bit more self-reflective, a bit more deep, I suppose is a term you could use.
I like that.
But at the moment, we just want people to have a good time. That's what Khaki Fever is about. and I think it's something that people can jump on board with, and it's something that people like. And actually, I think that is a much more accurate reflection of me and my bandmate for sure. And both of our personalities are pretty positive and happy and uplifting, and we try and resonate that on stage and project that on stage and in our songs. And I remember the older songs I'd wrote, the kind of sadder ones, I'd invite friends to gigs and they would come and hear them and they'd be like, it was great, but I wasn't expecting that from you. Like, I wasn't expecting that kind of vibe from you. And it's because I wasn't a very sad person, but of the sadness I did have, I wanted to express it.
Yeah.
So I put it into a song and I put it on stage. Whereas now I play a gig and my friends come up to me and they're like, that is you. Like, that is you in a song. And I'm like, yeah, no, this feels better. This feels much better. It feels much more accurate, for sure. And I think my bandmate does the same thing as well. We talked about it a lot. And this is the first project that we've both really done that really, really kind of represents us both, for sure.
I like that.
Which is nice.
I like when you say that,
Definitely.
because you say that with confidence now.
100%. Yeah, definitely.
I like that. Could you break down a track that you like or love that sounds like who you are as a person, but also lyrically tells us a bit about your life and what you've been through?
Song that I've written.
It could be a song that you've written or a song that somebody else has written that you feel resonates lyrically.
Ooh.
I like that a lot.
Interesting. People are going to hate me for this, but I actually think lyrics are the least important part of a piece of music a lot of the time. Yeah, I think there's a lot. I think, I did this. I did when I first started this band with Gio, we tested this and we said we want to make the coolest song ever, but we want it to be about your grandma's shoes. And it has nothing to do with anything. The lyrics made no sense, but it slapped so hard. It was so good. I think a lot of the time. Yeah, exactly. It's everything. It's melody. It's harmony. It's the rhythm. It's the timbre of the textures you're using. It's the way it all intertwines. It's the mood. And there's so much music out there that, if lyrics were the most important thing, then why is there so much music out there that doesn't have any lyrics in it that people still love?
That's true.
I'm not going to say it's the least important thing. I don't know what that would be, but I don't think it's the most important. I think making people feel something is the most important.
Energy.
And you don't have to do that with lyrics. Also, a lot of people, or a lot of artists will write lyrics with a complete intention of them meaning something, and people will interpret them completely different.
That's very true.
And I like that, and that's kind of how we write our lyrics, because they're fairly vague. There's not a lot of specific things going on in our lyrics that are, unless they're about a night out and we're talking about a specific event that's happened. A lot of our lyrics are quite vague, and you can interpret them how you want. And that's exactly what we want, because we want people to be like, this is how my interpretation of it. I want my music to mean something to you in however you want it to mean to you.
Yeah.
So that's why I like that. But yeah, anyway, I haven't answered your question at all. But
It's all right. You answered it in your own way.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with it.
That's great.
No, completely. As long as you're happy with the answer, I'm happy with it too. Because at the end of the day, as long as it's resonating with you, then it meant something for you to say it the way you did. So,
perfect.
If there was one quote that represented who you are as a person, what quote would you choose? And why would you choose that particular quote?
That's a big question, that. One quote. Oh, I don't know, It's tough.
It is a hard one.
It is a hard one. One quote. You know what? None is really springing to mind. Is there something I said earlier?
I'll let you sit with it for a little while.
Yeah, I'll sit with it for a minute.
Sit with it for a little while. So, if there was one song in the history of music that you wish you produced, what song would it be? And
it
why?
would be something from the Black Keys.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
I remember when I bought
Keys.
their album, actually.
Which do you remember which one?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, I worked for Warner Music, to be quite honest.
Oh, incredible.
And they gave me quite a few of their albums.
Their albums are insane. I think they just put out their 12th or 13th, maybe 11th. Like, they've got a lot of albums out.
Yeah.
Gold on the Ceiling, probably, by the Black Keys. Yeah, just it just works. It's just everything about it works. And there's also some like weird textures and stuff in there that I know if you went and heard them by themselves, you'd be thinking like, that's not going to go in a song like this. And then he drops it in a song like that. And you're like, yeah, no, it does. He's nailed it. It's just genius. It's just genius. Like, yeah, no, great. Obviously, fantastic guitarist. Dan Auerbach in particular, fantastic guitarist and fantastic songwriter, but also just awesome producer. Just knows what's going on. Just knows. None of his stuff is particularly complicated. It's the simplest things that really make it work. But simple things done well, I think. I mean, if I could maybe slightly go back to the previous question, I think music is all about. Or producing music, being an artist, being a performer, etc., is simple things done well.
I like that. Maybe that's your quote as well, actually.
Yeah, we'll run that as my quote.
Yeah, simple things done well. I like that. We'll use that one. We'll take that.
We'll take that. Nice.
We'll take that. If you had a chance to work with any music producer, any sound engineer, or any artist, who is on your top list?
Dead or Alive, Prince, probably.
Oh, I would have loved to, yeah.
Oh, apparently he was, just a machine.
Yeah.
I've heard stories of, I was listening to a different podcast series on, it's called, what's it called? Working with the Rock Stars, something like that. I can't remember what it's called. And it basically talks to engineers about, artists that they've worked with and their experiences and things like that. Some of it's quite techie and some of it's got really cool stories about artists on it. Yeah. And this guy was talking about a session he had with Prince. Apparently Prince was like bugging the label about, you need to put something out for me, man. Like it's probably only been a week, but he's like, it's been ages, man. It's been like a year since you put anything out. And they're like, okay, fine. So they just kind of bought him rented out this music writing room for him with his engineer. So just go, play for a bit and just make something and just
go and play for a bit.
Like, just go to your bedroom, like, fuck off. And just telling Prince to fuck off. Anyway, the engineers said they were in there day and night for like 3 days, 4 days, didn't sleep, and they made just a whole record, like 13, 14 songs. Apparently he was in there just like, this is insane. I'm making history right now, but God, I need to go to bed.
Oh man!
That's the kind of energy I love in a studio, and I love that when I was in the studio. You get very different kinds of artists in the stuff I was doing. Very different kind of artists out there. Some guys like to just come in, take it super chill, smoke a joint outside, come in, do what they've got to do, and then leave. Other artists are like, they come in and everything's got to be on the ball. Yeah. And I love working with everyone, but that energy and passion in the room is fantastic. And I think, I'd like to hope, he definitely did, but Prince would have had that for sure. Mm-hmm. For sure. There's no way you get that good without it, I don't think.
That's true. That is definitely true. What about sound engineer? Are there any sound engineers that you feel are epic at what they do?
Chris Lord-Alge's the big one. He's done like a lot of massive records. Yeah, he's a genius. Apparently he has, in his studio, he just has a load of rack units that are just like stacked upon stacks, different technical things like compressors and EQs, like as every studio does. But he'll get his mix in, and then when he's doing it, he doesn't change any of the parameters or anything. All the parameters are just set to what he wants. So he'll have like 4 different compressors, 4 pieces of kit that do the same thing essentially, but they're all on slightly different parameters.
Yeah.
And he'll just plug them in. No, that doesn't sound right. Plug them in. Yeah, that's the one. Because he's been doing it for so long and he's just so experienced that he knows it's going to be one of those 4. It's going to be one of those 4 that's perfect.
That's mad.
And most sound engineers, when they start out, and me still now to this day, I'm tweaking. I'm tweaking my threshold. Nah, it's not quite right. Nah, a little bit more here, a little bit more there, a little bit less here. He's like, no, that's not the one. It's this one.
Oh,
but yeah,
man.
him. Just the speed. And I think as in terms of music engineering, I specialize in mixing. That's my game.
Yeah.
So for people that don't know, the process is write the song, record the song, and then mix the song. The mixing is the kind of the processing of all the raw audio to make it sound like a piece of music that gels together well, rather than just a load of sounds that have maybe been recorded in different places, maybe been recorded in the same place, but are not quite gelling together yet. And then the mastering, which is the last bit, is basically preparing it for whatever medium you're putting it on, CD or streaming or YouTube or whatever. So mixing is my, I can do the recording and mastering, but mixing is my forte. And yeah, the trick with mixing is speed, because you've got to get. It's interesting, writing a piece of music is subjective. I think mastering a piece of music is almost entirely objective. You've got to look at, what's going on in the music genre that you're trying to put the piece of music in, and that's what it is, and that's what you need to master to a degree. Obviously, there's still some subjectivity involved, but mixing is this weird hybrid of objectivity and subjectivity that you've got to place yourself and trust yourself that you're making that call right. And if you spend too long on the mix, then you lose that objectivity. You're not concentrating on the right bits.
That's a good question, actually. What is the right length of time to spend on a mix?
Well, how long's a piece of string? Depends. How long can you last and trust yourself that you will remain objective on that track? Also, when's your deadline? That's
true.
The other thing.
Hey.
I've had music come in before. It's like, I need this recorded. I need this mixed today. And I'm like, well, it's already 4 PM, so it looks like I'm having a long night. And sometimes you get given weeks. The pros, and I'm not one of these people, but the pros can do 2 mixes a day, and that's a good way of doing it. They do a mix in the morning, and then they do a mix in the afternoon.
That is cool.
Which is, I'm yet to get to that point. I've got some way to go yet, but that's the goal. If you can do a mix in the morning, a mix in the afternoon, that's the goal. But yeah, again, it depends on how big your track is. If it's an acoustic guitar and a vocal, it'll take not that long. There's only so much you can do with that. If it's, you got a massive pop track with a 20-piece horn section in the chorus and massive guitar solos screaming through it as well, then it's going to take you a bit longer. So it depends.
I get really into this stuff because obviously I love it so much myself, but
of course, yeah.
No, I really do love it. What is the best advice you have ever received from somebody, and how has it helped you in your life?
Best advice. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
I like that. No one's ever said that to me before.
Really?
Yeah, no one has ever said that.
Yeah, and I think, I think a lot of people think that they can't be the confident person that they want to be by asking for help. But actually that's not true. There's a spectrum of like being too confident, or being confident at one end and being self-critical at the other. Because you could argue that if you're too far self-critical, then you're actually just dissing yourself all the time and you've got no self-confidence. But if you're too confident on the other end of the spectrum, then you just think you're an absolute geezer and actually you're not doing very well.
Yeah.
So, there's a balance to that. And having the capacity to ask for help when you need it is important. And I think I'm still finding that balance. Sometimes I think I've got it nailed and I'll deliver a piece of music to a client or whatever to a client, and they're like, this is not quite right, mate. I'm like, yeah, I thought that when I was doing it, but I didn't say anything. I should have done. It's happened in the past, but you learn from it and you move on. Yeah, that's the biggest piece of advice I could say, is don't be afraid to ask for help, because everyone needs it as well, especially in music. Like, fuck, it's so hard.
Oh man, I've only got literally 2 more for you, and the reason why I asked these 2 questions is just significant because everybody has a different definition of it. So everyone talks about success, and everybody has a different definition of success, Sam. What is your definition of success, and what does it mean to you to be successful?
You know, if you'd asked me this question 5 or 10 years ago, I would have given you a completely different answer. I think if you asked me this 5 or 10 years ago, I would have said, and just to preface this, I think that's a good thing as well, that the definition has changed, because it means that you know, you set different aims as you progress and move through life. I would have said back then, if I can get paid to work in music, then I have succeeded in life. That's the goal I set out when I finished uni and decided I wanted to do music. That was the goal I set out.
Yeah.
And I achieved it, and that was great. Now, I'm still trying to work it out, if I'm honest. I'm still trying to work out what success is to me. Because there's other aspects of my life as well as my career that I don't think I've quite nailed yet. But like I said earlier, I'm only 26, so we'll just roll with the punches for now.
You've got plenty of time.
Yeah, I don't have to work it out until, 27.
I like that. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I passed that age.
Yeah. You got it worked out though. It's all good.
It's not bad. It's not bad. We improve every day, which is what I love.
Absolutely, and that's my definition now. Is if I'm doing better than I was yesterday, then I've succeeded.
See?
And that's not even just in terms of my career and where I am and that, but in terms of my mental health, that's actually been a bigger problem over the last 3 years than my career. So that's been the goal, is to just fix that and sort that out. And yeah, the answer is if you're doing better than you were yesterday, then you're doing all right.
That's another quote there, Sam.
What if you're doing better? See, you asked me and I got no idea, and I just sling them in left, right and centre.
And they're good ones as well.
Yeah.
They're like, damn, that's a good one.
I should write a book or something, shouldn't I?
We have a book inside each and every one of us. It just takes someone to pull it out for us.
And that's why I came on this podcast.
There you go. It's all good.
Amazing.
I love that. I totally love that. So I love asking this question also, which is, what would you like your legacy to be? Only, and I mean only when you decide that you want to stop. Some people say they don't stop at all. Like, they don't stop until they drop. Some people say that to me. But if you did decide to stop and you were content and happy, what would you like your legacy to be in this world?
Well, I think every artist, wants people to listen to their music for 1,000 years.
True.
Which, I'm not going to lie, that'd be pretty good. But I think...
It's the way you say stuff that makes me laugh.
Good, I'm glad.
I like you, Sam.
Yeah, cheers, I like you too. I don't know, if I can write music that, if I can, as an artist, if I can write a piece of music that means something to someone after I stop, great, I've done it. Being an artist, you don't know. Working in music is one thing. Being an artist is another thing entirely. You have no idea if you're doing a good job or not. Until you sell out the O2, you got no idea what's going on until you're there. And even when you're there, you're still like, the labels telling you things and all kind of stuff is going on. So, you never really know. But we did a gig in Manchester a few months ago, and we played. Great set, and then finished, and we were getting a pint afterwards. There was another band on afterwards, so we were watching them, and these 3 blokes came over to me and my bandmate and were like, you guys are sick. We've been following you since you released your first track, and we think like you're sick, and like we love everything you put out. Like, when's the next one coming out? And we thought like that meant more than any amount of streams that we've got on Spotify or whatever. That meant more than any kind of Spotify playlist placement or review that we've had written about us or anything like that. That was magical. That was awesome. And then he bought us a pint, and it was the first bit of income we'd had from the band. So we were like, we shared it. It was a half a pint, so each. But yeah, that was magical. So if I get more moments like that, then I know I will have succeeded at the end.
I think you're going to get way more than you actually even expect.
I hope so. Fingers crossed.
No,
Fingers crossed.
I think you got it down. I think your positivity and your direction of thinking in life and energy is in the right direction of what you want to do and be. Usually, like you say, people become overconfident.
Yeah.
And that's something you don't want to do. Whereas
No, I agree.
when you use the right type of energy and you just manifest that into the universe the way that you want to, you will get what you want with the hard work and labor.
Absolutely.
Like you have been doing. So, Sam, I have
appreciate
no
that.
doubt. I have
Thank
no
you.
doubt. I have faith in you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It'll be
So,
good.
so my last one for you is, I would love for everyone to be able to find you and your band when your next
Yes.
single is coming out.
Woohoo!
Just this is your time.
Cool. So, let's do band first. Khaki Fever. On Instagram, that's at khaki.fever. We have a gig on the 22nd of October. Not actually sure when this is going out, but 22nd of October, we have a gig in London, UK. So, yeah, it's on Brick Lane. If you find us on Instagram and go to our bio, there's tickets, links in there. So have a look at that. In fact, if you go there, you'll also find all of our music. So that's where you can find us. And in our bio, you'll find all of our music, all load of reviews about us. Our YouTube, we've got some music videos out, lots of bits like that. In terms of engineering or music production or mixing, or I actually do podcast engineering as well. So woo, podcast team, go us.
I like that.
Team podcast. So you can find me at samfeverproductions@gmail.com. samfeverproductions@gmail.com. Yeah, my name's Sam Smith. It's a bit peak to work in the music industry with your name, Sam Smith. I'm surprised we haven't talked about that yet. It is shit.
Do you know what?
So we changed the name.
I didn't want to talk about it because I know that everybody else most probably does.
Oh, I appreciate that so much. It's so good.
And I'm one of those. When I interview somebody, I really dislike talking about what everybody else talks about.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, no, it's been a great load of questions come through as well. You know, we've had a load of interviews in the past in the band, Khaki Fever stuff, and some of them are just not thought out. They've clearly just copied and pasted a load of questions from YouTube or from Google or something, and you're like, all right, yeah, the question's got she in it. We're both blokes, so that's just not right. Clearly copied and pasted it.
Oh man, I actually
great.
wrote 63 questions for you, which is
Really?
which is a lot less
Wow.
considering what I usually write. So I usually go to around 97.
Wow, that is what? And then you just go and pick and choose.
And then
from
what
if you
I
wanna
do
go
is
on
I
there.
just have them all here down with me, and more is better than less naturally.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But I want them to relate to you. I don't want to, like you said, I don't want she to be in it, but what the hell is she doing in the question?
Yeah.
You know, and a profession that I don't even do. And so I don't want any of that in the questions. And I just kind of authentically go with the energy and the vibe that we have while we're talking. And sometimes I ask you questions that are not even on any of the lists.
Yeah, I mean, you've nailed it. I mean, it's been great. It's been absolutely marvellous.
I hope to do you and your band member next.
Yeah, absolutely.
At some point. That would be cool.
For sure. Yeah, he's got even more to say than me, so enjoy.
Oh,
that.
I like that. Bring him on.
Yeah, he'll love this. We actually run a podcast series as well. We haven't done an episode in a while, but we bring artists on to. In fact, we're not even just artists. Anyone that works in the music business, producers, artists, engineers, a function band players. So we play. There's two of us in the band that do all the writing and production, etc. But when we play live, it's a 9-piece. So we have 7 other band members that come on with us, but they're all function players. That's what they do when they don't play with us. They play in function bands at weddings and things like that. So we have a pretty good relationship with them as well. And those guys are insane, like way better musicians than I am, like just ridiculously good.
Don't put yourself down.
Oh no, I'm not. I critique myself well. I'm a very good artist. Not the best guitarist, but that's fine.
You'll get there. Practice makes perfect.
Absolutely.
There you go. Sam, I want to thank you so much for taking
Thank
your
you.
time to come on the Ask People podcast. You have been a great guest and a beautiful person to get to know. So I thank you so much, and I wish you every success in what you're doing in your life, just to keep on going.
Thank you. Appreciate coming on. It's been great.
No, you're more than welcome, guys. I want to thank you so much for listening to the Ask People podcast. And please remember, you can subscribe and leave us a review on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and any other platform that you prefer listening to. Please also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can also donate to the Ask People podcast by simply going to the Savia website or just typing in paypal.me/Us People podcast. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Stay happy, stay positive, and as always, please continue to be kind to one another.
I protect my energy and peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. Peace of mind, peace of mind. I need a solution. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with her. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with confusion. Yeah, I'm done. I need a solution. Peace of mind, peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. I protect my energy and peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. Peace of mind, peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. I protect my energy and peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. Peace of mind, peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. I protect my energy and peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. Peace of mind, peace of mind.
People say that having a peace of mind is trying to find a consistency of calmness within ourselves, to crave for a clarity that drives us through our emotional journey of life, to never let a person's judgment manifest into a fear inside of us, learning to believe in our ability to shine through the darkest moments and tunnels when we cannot see the light. Patience being our light for forgiveness and strength, to believe in our destiny. If you want real peace of mind, one needs to stop fighting their inner thoughts and embrace them with love, because love is the most amazing and beautiful strength that we have to conquer our peace of mind. Make your thoughts impact a nation by keeping them true and honest, especially to yourself. But make your peace of mind protect you when you don't have strength to embrace anything else. Find your peace of mind by listening to your heart.
Peace of mind, gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. I protect my energy and peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind.
Perfect. Yeah, that was great. Love that.
Oh, I liked you. So you were chilled out there. I liked it. You were just relaxed.
Yeah. I run a lot. I do what you do, kind of, to other people. So I've done this before.
I like it. No, you were really relaxed. Whereas sometimes a lot of people get really tense and they get nervous, and you can hear it in their voice.
Yeah.
But with you, it was just easy, free flowing. So thank you so much for being such an easy guest to interview.
No problem. Thanks for the interview. It's been fun.
Peace of mind,